there's been a lot of discussion lately about what's being referred to as an obsession from Silicon Valley with living forever. Maybe this obsession goes deeper than I understand. From the looks of it, though, to me, it looks like most people are just speaking about Bryan Johnson, right? The Venmo founder who sold the company and is now spending his time trying to lengthen his lifespan, right? First of all, gotta say, Bryan Johnson, on an individual level, I kind of respect it. I gotta be, like, I'll be honest. I don't think many people like him. Like, I think many people see him as weird and, like, not cool. And I mean, listen, I'm sure he's not, I don't know if I'd want to hang out with the guy. Anyone who's like, I'm going to live to 200 and, like, I'm a vampire, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like he'd probably try and steal my plasma or something when I'm in the bathroom. So I don't know if I'd want to hang out with him, but I kind of respect it at the same time of, like, this guy has to live a life of waking up at the same time every day, going to bed at the same time every day, putting the exact perfect things into his body all the time. Like, he literally lives his life with just a bunch of scientists watching him. And, like, he's kind of taking one for the team, because how many studies are going to be in 100 years on, like, we know about this longevity thing because of this guy? I kind of respect it. I gotta be honest. I respect it a little bit. I wish he would also use his fortune to, like, build libraries. I think that'd be cool. Maybe he has, maybe I'm just not as familiar with that. I'm sure it doesn't get as much publicity as the drinking his son's blood stuff or however that was going, but I do respect what's going on over there, right? This obsession, though, has sparked a lot of debate around, like, what should this look like? What should longevity be? A lot of people are talking about the fact that they think we're going to be the first humans to live to, like, 150. A lot of people are saying we're going to live longer than that. Some people are saying that we are probably going to eliminate death altogether. I believe, and I'm sorry, Brian, if I'm misquoting you here. No, it's in good faith. I'd love to hang out with you as long as we have, like, a no plasma rule. A lot of people are saying, I believe Bryan Johnson says that he thinks we're the first human to not die is already living. I think it's an interesting idea, first and foremost. Like, we talk about immortality as if it's this science fiction concept, but, like, do we know that? Like, what if, people used to live a lot shorter than they do now, right? I think, like, the average person's living till, like, 70 or 80 now. They used to live till, like, 30, right? So I think it makes sense that if you're back then when they're living to 30, you're like, oh, 30 years is all we got. Then medicine comes along, you're like, oh, wait, we got, like, 80 years. To me, as somebody who knows nothing about science, I'm getting the vibe that the body itself kind of just starts, like, shutting down after, the first 80. Like, it seems like things really start to get rough. It seems like you start to slow down and get, talk a lot slower, watch a lot more Fox News, and get very angry about a lot of things, and just generally get a little bit unpleasant. So, it kind of, to me, seems like maybe there is a natural limit on this, right? Because people at 30 weren't really doing that. But I'm very dumb about all this. You know what I mean? Like, there is a huge chance that that is just a result that we're not following the Bryan Johnson lifestyle of putting only perfect things into your body and selling a health supplement to make bread. So, maybe we will live forever. Maybe, like, once we figure out all the diseases, maybe, like, cancer seems like it's also a very, like, natural biological limiter. Like, if you live long enough, you're probably going to have something go wrong in a cancerous way, right? Maybe we'll cure cancer and we figure out, okay, the average person's now living to, like, 130, 140. And then maybe at 140, there's, like, a second big thing that comes along. We'll just, for argument's sake, call it cancer 2, right? That we cure cancer 2, maybe you can go to, like, 160, 170, So maybe there really is no limit on this. I think it's an interesting question, and one that I don't know if we have an answer to. I probably could have Googled this and figured this out instead of talking to you all about it, but we're here, and I want to ask the question, right? Let's say I'm pro longevity. First of all, I am. I think the idea of, like, we shouldn't live past a certain age is, like, stupid. Like, it's like, no, like, if I can live to 150 and be happy and healthy, awesome. You know what I mean? I think it's cool, right? What if I got to look at my life in terms of more long term, right? Like, now I got to be like, okay, I got to make X amount of money in the next year. I can't afford this thing, or stuff like that. Like, it's so much of, like, I want to get good at painting. Let me paint every day and get really good. So in 2 years, maybe I could be good at painting. You know, it's kind of a goal of mine. I think it'd be cool if maybe I was living longer. It would be like, you know, I don't know, I think rent would still be due and stuff, but I don't know, I like the idea that we can make our lives longer term projects. I do appreciate that. I think that longevity, I appreciate. Immortality is another conversation though, right? Like, I suppose on the one hand, immortality is probably something we'll never reach, right? Because I think immortality is what I'm talking about. It's more just the fact that we'll never stop expanding our lifespan, not exactly the fact that like you'll just never die. Because like if we hit a point with humanity where it's like we just don't know how long people are gonna keep living for, like I don't think I can really comprehend that reality, right? So I guess in terms of this functional immortality of like every generation will expand the lifespan by like 20 years, I like that. I think that's good. I think overall, if my grandchildren are looking back at this this time and are like, wow, they only lived to 120 back then, and they're like, you know, 180 years old watching that, I overall view that as a positive, right? I think that's a cool thing overall. But let's say, you know, hypothetically, I don't know if this is even close to possible, we could just cure death. Like instead of Bryan Johnson having to do all these things to himself and steal guys like my plasma, which is a real fear that we all have, all us guys like me and our plasma. Instead of that, let's say one day one of his scientists come in with his supplement that he sells, and they're like, "Hey, we just cracked it. This new supplement you have, the wild berry flavor, it can make you live forever. No cap. Like not no cap as in they're not lying. No cap as in like there's no cap on your life." I like that. I like the idea of a scientist walking in and going, "No cap, Bryan, this can make you live forever." No, but let's say they're actually like, there's no limit on your life anymore. You're good. Like we injected it into you when you were sleeping last night because we knew you'd rock with it and we thought it'd be a nice surprise. Maybe it's Christmas, maybe this is a Christmas thing, and they're like, this was our gift to you, and good. Like Bryan Johnson lives forever, and right away, you know, he's a rich guy. He's like, guys, I'm funding it. We're all getting this wild berry flavor. We're all living forever, right? You know, nobody has to even pay. He's footing the bill for humanity. Is that a good idea? Is eliminating death as a concept a good idea? I don't know. Because on the one hand, right, there's the argument I just made at the beginning of this, at the front of this episode, being like, I like the idea of making our lives longer term projects. I do like that idea. I think it's a really cool idea. I'd love to do it myself, right? I mean, if you have a longer term project as a life, instead of being like, it's a dream of mine to be a great painter one day, like it is for me, that's what I do here every day, I could go, someday I will be a great painter, point blank period. I will be as good as Leonardo da Vinci, because I know that no matter what happens to me, I have an unlimited amount of time. Like there is no limit on this, there's no deadline, and that's that, like, good, right? That's cool, and I think that argument stands up for the immortality thing of like making lives longer term projects. That seems cool, but I guess there's another side to that too that kind of cuts to the essence of this, right? If I can very easily be like, I will become the Leonardo da Vinci one day because I have forever, then everybody can do that, right? And we're all basically just subject to become what our minds think, right? If somebody's like, I want to be the next David Lynch, they can be the next David Lynch. There's nothing holding them back anymore, you know, assuming that everything else goes right too. They basically have no deadline on this, right? Dreams are not so much dreams anymore, but just like plans. And there's something that feels weird about that, because on the front of it, that seems really cool, right? Like, imagine we're living in a society where everybody's just whatever they want to be. That seems like utopian almost, right? But on the other hand, if everybody can become something super special, are these things special? You know, the thing that makes Leonardo da Vinci so impressive is that there's only one Leonardo da Vinci. Obviously I'm using this as an example, but I think there's also another side to that example that I didn't even address, that people have learned to paint as good as Leonardo da Vinci since da Vinci's been around, right? Many people have learned to paint just as technically well. And it's never been as impressive because we already have seen it, right? We already know what a Da Vinci looks like. We don't need to paint a second Da Vinci. We need to paint the first Picasso. That's kind of how these things work, right? And this isn't me trying to make a weird half-baked point about painting in the middle of this. This is, I think, just why I don't think it's that crazy to say scarcity and something being a hard goal is what makes it valuable to us, right? Like, that's what makes it so cool. That's why, like, I am motivated to keep painting, to keep doing all these things, because it's like, this is a cool goal I have. I want to do that, right? We all have things like that in our life, where it's like, that's something that seems cool, seems like something I should work on, and it motivates you. And then, you know, if you do it, it's glory and all these things. And, you know, whether it's writing that book you really want to write or being the greatest writer of all time, these things have value for a reason, because we are only here for so long. Does that apply to life in general? Like, does life lose its meaning if you're only around for so long? I don't know. I guess it's a person-by-person scenario, because what my mind jumps to is like, okay, if I'm around forever, what if I just take the next 5 years and I'm like, I'm just chilling. Like, I'm just going to watch every single movie. Sounds great. I'm basically wasting 5 years. I mean, you know, more or less. And I'm motivated to be like, that's what everybody would do if they could live forever. But at the same time, I don't, like, people already do that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, and no shame to them at all. As much as it's a waste of time, I kind of respect it because it's really cool too to watch all the movies. But people already are like, I don't really care if I waste 5 years. I mean, I myself, you know, let's say Paint&Talk, I do this for the next 10 years. Nobody ever watches. By the day I'm done with this, there's literally 0 people watching. Everybody has fallen off. Many would say that outside of the skills to gain painting, I've wasted 5 years or 10 years or however long it is. I'm willing to do that because I like doing this. So I guess maybe, you know, are we motivated by death, or are we motivated off, for lack of a better term, life? You know? I don't know. I guess, too, if everybody could become Leonardo da Vinci, if, you know, we all could just aspire and do our goals because there's no time limit on them, then the bar just gets raised, right? I don't know, in this scenario, would it be that everybody, it's like we start devaluing these things because everybody can do it? Or would it be that it's just like what we value becomes even cooler? Like, there's Leonardo da Vinci 3, and he's like just amazing at art. Would that happen if we could live forever? Or would it get devalued? I guess, like, I don't know. The more I think of it, I think immortality might not be that bad of an idea. Because, given that we're all able to be immortal, if, like a much more realistic version of this scenario, Bryan Johnson cracks this cure, like 10 guys get it, and they just live forever as vampires, and the rest of us are, like, just done. That's probably what would happen if this happened, right? No hate to you, Bryan, again. This probably isn't helping my case with not stealing my plasma, but, you know, let's be real with ourselves, Bryan. Can I blame you? Not really. No, I can. I think you should give the cure to death to everybody if you can find it, right? So, if everybody could be immortal, I think it might not be a bad idea, because every time in the past when we look at humanity and we're like, we're about to hit a wall, you know, we're about to overpopulate and not be able to feed ourselves, we're not going to solve this problem, we're not going to solve that problem, we've done it. Like, hypothetically, just as I said, there's no way that we know there's 100% a cap on how long you can live, there's also never really been proven that there's a cap on what humanity can do. So, I'm only left to assume, and I'm going to assume this because I think this is a nice optimistic conclusion to wrap up this episode with, that if we all live forever, we would get even better. Like, things would only be better if we live forever. We would not come up against some huge existential wall. We would just up the stakes of what humanity can be, and then we can start traveling around and showing off to some aliens. And that's really what this is all about. This is the painting. Loving this color palette still. I'll be honest, there's going to be 6 of these, which means that so far we're at 4 more color palettes until the end of the color block series. Yeah, I'm liking these. I'm liking this color palette. Let me know your thoughts. Would you do Immortality? Yes? No? Maybe so? Until next time, guys, gals, and pals, my name is Max Dice. This has been Paint Talk episode 217. I'm here every morning, painting and talking with you all.